What is personality? Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. I'm John. What is personality? The standard definition is the total qualities and traits and behaviors of a person. And the standard definition also goes on to apply that definition to organizations, animals, and other entities. So philosophically, since this is Philosopher's Corner, we're concerned with what is personality in the traditional sense of a human being. Like right now, what you're seeing on the screen right now this is my personality. This is me communicating with you. I have certain particular facial expressions. I speak a certain way. I look a certain way. My eyes do certain things. I groom myself. I got this whole thing going on. The way I present myself, the way I speak, the way I think, all of my idiosyncrasies, whatever my personal agendas are, whatever my intentions are. Essentially, the summation of me, my physical body, and more importantly, what's going on internally to animate all of this, all gets focused into a personality. And as I've dug deeper into myself, I find that the personality resonates with internally for me. And then now this is where we start to get into some interesting area, because everybody has a personality. Doesn't matter. The personality is simply the focal point of your energy and your person in the reality, in focus in a way that other people can understand. Or maybe not understand, but in a way that is universally recognized. Like, if I meet people and they're interacting with me a certain way, having a personality is one of the fundamental, it's like a language basically, because since everybody has a personality that they use to interact with reality and other people, we are calibrated to that as a universal form of existence. And we're calibrated to accept that format of a personality from other entities. Now, it doesn't matter if it's a person or an animal or an organization, and it doesn't even matter if they physically present, because at a certain point when we get used to a certain personality, we associate that with the energy of the thing. And then even if the energy of the thing appears, the personality is present in a way. In the way that if you have a favorite singer and you hear their song on the radio, you don't see them, but you get a sense of their personality. The personality pervades through the energy that is the music. And in that same way, the personality becomes associated with the energy, with the true essence of the person or thing or animal whose personality that is. Now, an interesting thing happens when we especially know ourselves, and then we can look outward, is a lot of human life seems to be, especially in the modern version of sort of contrived life we're in, that's a bit more aesthetic, but a lot of the thrust of the life is to come to a point where your personality is truly and accurately aligned and representing what your inner state is. And we have a word for that. We say that's authentic. Say when somebody has, oh, that person's authentic, or they have an authentic personality, And that is one of the highest compliments. It's a top tier compliment to give somebody, especially here in Los Angeles. So when somebody's personality is authentic, it means their inner has lined up with their outer representation. And when someone's perceived to be authentic, that opens up a lot of social credit with people. That opens up trust. That opens up clear lines of communication. And the interesting thing about being authentic is that it tends to engender compassion from other people. Because being authentic doesn't mean that you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you know anything more than another person, or it doesn't speak to your necessarily to the strength of your character traits or your abilities or anything, but it speaks to the character trait of being honest and being forthright and authentic. And people respond to that. People can work with that. Most people would prefer to interact with somebody who's authentic and has problems or doesn't necessarily have a bunch of skills versus somebody whose personality doesn't line up with who they really are internally, but they have a bunch of skills and they have a bunch of resources. That's an age-old story. So the lining up of the inner and the outer to create an authentic personality, that's sort of an ideal state. Now, on the other thing, I mean, you can have somebody that's like completely not who they're presenting. But here's the thing about personality. You are whoever you're presenting. Now, if you're presenting your personality in a contrived way or in a ignorant way or in a way that's just not in line with who you really are, since people are so well calibrated to personality, they know that. They can feel that. They can sense that. And the thing about that is that our personality, to a very large degree, determines the outcomes in our life because it determines the reactions. It causes the causation in the personal life to happen. And it's the same with anything else. I mean, if you go to the zoo and you go to a pen with, I don't know, there's tigers, and one tiger is super nice and docile and happy to be there, things are probably going to go all right for that tiger, right? But if there's another tiger and that tiger is just not having the zoo, because that's probably the right thing to do, because like if you're a tiger, why would you want to be in a zoo? But if you're a tiger in the zoo and you're ornery and you're always going after the handlers and you're just waiting for the day that a kid gets too close to the rail and everybody knows it, well, they're going to treat you different than the tiger that's chilling. And that's simply a personality read. And a lot of life doesn't get any more complicated than that. Now, that's not a statement that's meant to catalyze creating a false persona or personality, even if it's a positive one, because then that's a whole nother thing. But to present your authentic self in as authentic a way possible is the best thing. Which means it doesn't mean that like every time you want to fly off the handle, you fly off the handle, or every time you want to get super depressed, you get super depressed like all the time. It just means that you're open about who you are internally and what you want out of life and what you're doing, and you act generally in accordance with it, and people who know you know what you're about. And then when that happens, then you can start to line up with the things that make your life fulfilling. But it's really based on the personality. And the personality, it's interesting because, all of us here at one point did not exist here. We were born into this world. We didn't, 150 years ago, anybody that's watching this video around the time I make it, you weren't here in 1850. You weren't born. You came from somewhere, then you got a body, now you're in the body, and you run around, and you're doing stuff, and your body is the thing that people interact with to try to get stuff done. And your body and your energy are the thing that they're reacting to. So one of the optimum things you can do is get your energy and your body in alignment and know who you are and present that to the world for results that will be most fulfilling to you. And so when the interesting thing is, since we didn't have a body and now we're here, we know for a fact that our body and our personality as we're going through this life is our identifying presence. If we can remove all the ideas of what it means to have a body or what it means to be in the reality, because I think we tend to take it for granted once we're here for a bit, and you just go, whoa, all of a sudden I'm just here and this is my character, this is my personality. That's kind of one of the great gifts of being in this particular dimension, in this reality, is that we get to see our personality, because the reality forces us to manifest a presence that we call personality to interact in this dimension. It's a hard focus. It's a hard manifestation. And it's one that evolves, and it's a great self-check. And it's also great because then we can get the causation back as part of the self-check to know if our perception of self is lining up with perception out there, with the reality in general. And that can motivate our life. That can help us navigate our life, because as our personality becomes truer and more authentic, then the life we're living becomes truer and more authentic, and we can navigate based on that. And then it can build positive momentum and synergy, and then we can really get a handle on things. And then we can also more clearly see other people, for who they are, and accept that as well. So what is a personality? It's the universe allowing us to manifest our energy into a visible, interactable form in this dimension. It allows us to share our essence, display our choices about life, and live out our preferences. And it's a great tool for self-awareness. So I hope you enjoy your personality. Well, as always, thanks for spending some time here at Philosopher's Corner. I hope you found it helpful, and have fun.